Yes, good evening and welcome to the program tonight. Yeah, we continue with our series on faith. So remember, we said this year we're going to focus on faith and faith alone. For the whole year, we're going to teach about faith. Because we need to achieve the things that Jesus said we will achieve here on earth. We need to please God because the Bible says without faith it is impossible to please Him. So we want to please God. You may consider this a period of a year of fasting or feasting only on faith. So the Bible continues to say the just shall live by faith. So we need to get to a stage where faith is second nature. That is why we are going to focus on faith. Tonight, I want to discuss a topic, faith for favor. Faith for favor. You know, when favor has come your way, then things go your way. You don't have to beg for anything. You don't have to work hard for anything. God seems to open all doors. You ask, you're given. You pray for somebody, it works. You go to the bank, you've got money. You apply for a job, you get it. You want to get married, you do get married. So now faith for favor. So now there are some people, when we look at them from outside, it appears as if things are going right for them. They've got no problem at all. So now it is this kind of faith that I want us to talk about today. Faith for favor. So now we are going to look at one specific character in the Bible who was also one of the major prophets. His name is Daniel. So now Daniel seemed to have favor with everyone. Good evening, Shady. Good evening, Tinswalo. So now let us look at this case, Daniel. So many people, when you speak of Daniel, all we think of it is the lion's den. And then if you ask any other thing about Daniel, people don't know about Daniel. So please excuse my lighting. We don't have power, so I'm using artificial lighting. So if things are not clear, then please excuse me. I'll have to use all the artificial lighting that I can get. So now let us look at Daniel. Number one, Daniel got favor when the children of Israel were in captivity in Babylon. So now remember, they stayed for 70 years in Babylon captivity. 70 years. Now it is during these 70 years where Jeremiah even prophesied, according to Jeremiah, I think 29, where he says, I know the plans that I have for you, the plans of good, the plans and so on and so on. Do you know that verse name? So now it is the same time that the children of Israel were in captivity. So God was saying to them, hey, I know the plans that I have for you. They were in captivity. But then if you read the whole of chapter 9, God is telling them, hey guys, you are in captivity. Please continue, build your houses, get married, have children, let life goes on, because I know the plans that I have for you. And then one of the plans was a guy called Daniel. So Daniel was caught also in that space as well. So now he was in captivity in Babylon. So Daniel got favor. I could find 4 kings of Babylon in the 70-year period. There could be 5 or 6 or more. But then I only found 4 that I'm going to talk about tonight. Daniel found favor with Nebuchadnezzar. Remember, he was chosen that he will be the leader. He was chosen. So Daniel found favor with Nebuchadnezzar. Number 2, he found favor with King Cyrus. Remember, it is in these years where he was in captivity. Number 3, he found favor with King Darius. Number 4, he found favor with Belshazzar. So these are the 4 kings that ruled Babylon during the 70-year period where the children of Israel were in captivity. But then this Daniel, why so much favor upon him? Why so much favor? You know, you need to ask yourself, hey, we need the favor of Daniel. We need the favor of Daniel. Can you just imagine being in captivity where you're supposed to be struggling, then you are made a leader? You are in captivity, you're supposed to be working hard like a slave, but no, you're in control. So now, don't you want that kind of favor? You know, when things don't go right around you, but things for you go well. I mean, don't you want that kind of favor that is in Psalm 91? You know, Psalm 91 says, 1,000 will fall on your right hand and 10,000 on your left hand, but it shall never come next to you. Can you just imagine? Where God is your protector. Don't you want the favor of Goshen, where all the plagues happened in the whole of Egypt, but none affected Goshen? Don't you want that kind of favor? But then let us explore Daniel to find out, what did he do for him to get this kind of favor? So now we know that he was sought after by 4 kings or 5. But then that's not the point. The point is, all kings sought Daniel and said, we want Daniel. So now, if you were to take this story of Daniel and bring it to today, just operate in the corporate environment, you could say Daniel was a consultant for all the kings. You know that things don't happen these days without a consultant. A consultant comes with speciality. A consultant comes with skill. Consultant comes and make things right. Consultant come to make the CEO look better or to look good. So now Daniel, you can say he was a consultant. If he was alive today, I think he would be owning the biggest consultancy company in the whole world. So Daniel was sought out. Number 1, Daniel was willing to be trained. But before that, let us start with the very first one. Daniel had an excellent spirit. So now, what is an excellent spirit? An excellent spirit is where you want to excel in everything that you do. An excellent spirit is when you decide that you are not going to give mediocrity. An excellent spirit is when you decide that you are going to achieve 100% of everything that you do. An excellent spirit is when you say, if they say to you, pass mark is 50%, you lift it up. You say, for me, pass mark is 80% or pass mark is 90%. It means you set standards for yourself. And these standards, you always strive to achieve them. So the problem with us as Christians today, we don't set up any standards. We do not excel in the things that we do. We give mediocrity work. We do mediocre work. So that is why we as Christians, for the favor to come upon us, we need to invoke this faith for favor. We need to be people of excellence. I mean, let me tell you, when you prepare food, you must excel. You must excel. It means there must not be any spillovers. There must not be, the salt must be perfect. When you prepare it and give it to somebody else, when you dish it out, the plates must be neat and the trays must be neat. No, this excellent spirit is something that we need to build up as Christians. We need to build that spirit. So now, make a decision today and say, I want to attract favor. I want to attract favor. Let me tell you this now. Did you know that when you go to interviews and do all those kind of things for jobs, those people look for excellent people. They look for people that will excel in their job. You know, I was talking to my daughter now a little while ago. I said, you know, when you look for a job now, you don't go looking for a job there to satisfy your own self. Remember, the employer is advertising a job because they've got a problem. They need somebody to come and solve that problem that they have in their company or in their department or in their school, wherever you want job from. So now, if you want to get into that particular place, looking for a job there, you must prove to those people that you can be able to solve their problem. That is why in the interviews, they ask you questions that are related to the job. They ask questions that are related to you finishing the job. So they're asking questions relating to your attitude. They ask so many questions to find out if you are the right fit. And they'll even go back to ask you at school, did you achieve this? At school, were you head prefect or were you prefect or were you monitor? What was happening? How did you solve problems? In a good interview, they would ask you, they would say to you, give us an example where you solved a conflict. It means you've got to relate your life in that interview. Explain where you solved a conflict. And they would ask you, was it solved correctly? Was it satisfactory? Did it work? Because in the work environment, you will meet conflict. And the way that you deal with conflict must be excellent. So whatever you do, you need to be excellent. You know, I don't know how many of you have ever realized that it's difficult to work for a boss who expects excellence. Because you feel under pressure. That is correct. That is the right kind of pressure. You need to be a person of excellence too. You do not do things for so long. You do not do things to fill up the gap. You do not do things just because everybody is doing it. You do not do things just to pass on the time. No, if you are in ministry, if you are in the choir, you need to excel. You need to know all those chords. You need to be able to take all the tunes. Do, re, mi, fa, si, la, ti, do. Know all of them and be able to take a voice through all of that. I mean, when you go to church to worship, I mean, you cannot sing the same song for the whole year and people start knowing you by that song. No. You need to be a person who excels. Now, for you to excel, it means you need to rehearse, you need to practice at home, you need to listen to more songs, you need to buy CDs, you need to go and visit concerts, you need to go to the studio to observe what other people do. Why? You want to excel. So Daniel had the spirit of excellence. Number 2, Daniel was not shy to be trained. So now, you know that when Nebuchadnezzar took the Israelites into captivity, he captured the young men of Judah as well. And this was Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And there were others as well. But then these ones are mentioned. Why? Because they were selected because they were clever, they were cognitively gifted, because of their attitude. And they were mates, they were friends. So now, you need to understand this. If you're going to excel in life, if you are going to excel in life, you need to be around people that excel. You need to surround yourself with people who excel. I mean, if you surround yourself with mediocre people, let me tell you, they will tell you, Esbali, it's okay, leave it like that. I mean, it will be like this mechanic where you take your car for service. When it comes back with a basket or a bucket full of screws and everything else, but the car is driving. Now, when you ask them, how about these screws? Why are they not back in the car? They'll tell you that, no, don't worry, the car is still going without these screws. They were unnecessary. Such people, you must run away from. When you've got a mechanic that does your engine, he must do the engine and replace everything that he took away from the engine. And you must be that person. You must be that person. Remember, surround yourself with people who excel. And people who excel have got the right attitude towards things. They don't see problems, they see solutions. Now, I want you to have this approach in 2025. I want you to have two things in which you approach things. You need to be a problem solver and say, what problem am I solving? Number two, you need to have continuous improvement as your strategy. Continuous improvement. It means always look for ways in which you are going to improve something. I mean, if you find things in a particular way and you leave them in that particular way, you have done nothing. You haven't announced your presence. No one will tell you that you were there. You know, when we were growing up, you know, even this kind of presence was a negative kind of presence that we saw in the toilets at school, at our primary school. People used to write on the walls of the toilet. I don't know if you know about this. People used to write on the walls of the toilets, and some of the people would even write, Javas was here. Javas, you know, it's a negative kind of announcement. But then please, let's turn this. Let's turn this kind of example and use it correctly. Let us, in any environment, be a problem solver and a continuous improvement freak. Let us announce our presence that way. Let people know that you were around. Let people know that you touched something. Let people know that, no, so and so was here. You can tell. I mean, for instance, if you decide to go and let me give an example with the worship team, because that's what we are exposed to most of the times. Suppose you decide to go and join the worship team. Let me tell you, people must know that you are there. Why? Things must improve. Punctuality of everybody must improve. You know, the backing vocalists, everybody must so strive to improve. Why? Because you are there. You need to make a difference. Remember, problem solving, continuous improvement. Make that decision in life. Number 3, Daniel was prepared to be trained. So now these 4 guys, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you can read it in the book of Daniel. It has got only about 12 chapters. It's not a long book. So now the king spoke to his chief, commander-in-chief. I think his name was Ashpenaz or something like that. He said, hey, Ashpenaz, go and select people that are going to come in here, and these people are going to be trained for 3 years. They're going to be trained for 3 years because they are going to work here for the king. They need to understand protocol. They need to understand certain things, how things are done and everything else. Then there is something that I'm picking up here, Christians. If you read the book of Daniel now, it says Ashpenaz was the king of the eunuchs. For me, it looks like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were also eunuchs. I mean, that's what it looks from me. I don't read anything about their wives. I don't read anything about their girlfriends. I don't read anything about their family life. It looks like they were eunuchs because they were given to the king of the eunuchs or the chief of the eunuchs to look after them. But anyway, that may not be crucial in this discussion, but it's something to think about. That no, these guys were pure. These guys were holy. These guys never engaged in anything else except focus on their job. But then Nebuchadnezzar said, these guys are going to train for 3 years. And they were willing to go for 3 years for training. So now if you are going to attract favor, please embrace training. Embrace training no matter how qualified you are. No matter how many degrees you have. Even if you've got a master's and a doctorate and a whatever degree, please embrace training. You know, allow yourself to be trained so that you can be a specialist in that job, so that you can be able to know and pass on to other people. So remember now, the only way that you can know the job well is when you train others as well. So embrace training on both ways. Training you train and training you train others. So now remember, you cannot be promoted in your job if the people that report to you don't know what they're doing. You cannot be promoted, let me tell you, if the people that you work with don't know what they're doing. So remember, you need to be promoted to go and solve problems elsewhere. But then in your area, there has to be succession. There has to be succession. There has to be people that solve the problems. There has to be people that you have trained, people that you trust to be able to take the assignment further. So, but many people don't want to train other people. People don't want to train. I mean, do you know what is happening today with our civil service? Our civil service is not trained. You go in there, they don't know what they're doing. You go in there, they can't help you. You go in there, they mess up everything. Why? It is lack of training. But Daniel was willing to be trained. And now, how was he willing to be trained with his friends? Let me tell you this. Nebuchadnezzar had commanded Ashpenaz and say, Ashpenaz, I want you to give these guys good food. I want you to give them good food because I want them to be fit and healthy and cognitively strong. Now, Daniel and his friends says to the king, to the chief of the eunuchs, hey, please, man, we don't want to defile ourselves with your food. Please allow us to eat what we eat. Allow us to eat vegetables only because that's what we believe in. The chief said, no, but then the king will kill me. If he finds that you are thin now, you are not strong enough and everything else, he will destroy me. I don't want. Daniel said, no, please test us for 10 days. Can you just imagine somebody saying, I am willing to be trained for 3 years. But before I go into this training, I need to be well prepared with the things that I do. Give me 10 days to prove myself that I am worthy for this training. I mean, I beg you, if you decide to join a team in your church, if you decide to join a team in your church, please do not go there with a big head when you know everything. Allow yourself to be trained. Allow yourself to be trained. Allow yourself to be taken for orientation. Allow yourself to ask questions. Allow yourself to find out how things work. Allow yourself to find out who is who in the zoo. But the problem is, people go into the job, they think they know everything. They think they know everything. Let me tell you, in our government, we know, let me tell you, no fear, no favor. I mean, you had in the police department, as an example, sorry, Pastor Dips, in the police department, you've had people that were police before, that had the experience, that knew everything. But because of the democracy and everything else, they started putting people in there that know nothing. People that were not trained, people that were never in the firing line, people that don't know what they were doing. And that is why there is a collapse. There is a collapse because untrained people have taken over those jobs. Untrained people, they cannot train anyone. And guess what? It becomes a line of incompetence, a long line of incompetent behavior. So now Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were determined and said, we want to be trained for these 3 years. We want to be trained for these 3 years. But allow us to eat well what we eat. They were even willing to test. I mean, they were confident people. They were confident in the God that they were worshipping. They were confident with the food that they were eating. That's why they said, no, test us for 10 days. Test us for 10 days. So now, if you want favor, faith for favor, let me tell you, allow yourself to be trained. Do not be a know-it-all. Do not be a know-it-all. And when I know, I know, I know. No, you can't know everything. Look, I had an opportunity that I will ever cherish as long as I live, of managing people, of managing many people. And I realized, man, that people are brilliant. Even though I may have been their manager, but there are some things that they knew better than me. Now, in order for me to look good, I was open for training. They would train me while I trained them with what I knew. So now let me tell you, when you open up yourself for training, Zalwan, you are going to make your boss succeed. And this, you must be prepared. So now remember, when you train, Zalwani, you are not looking after yourself directly. You are not looking after yourself directly. You are looking after the interests of other people. So now when you train, you must be willing to sow a seed and hoping that God will open doors for you. And that is the attitude that you need. People that train others, Bazalwane, are not doing it for themselves, but they are doing it for other people, making sure that people are promoted, people get to the level where they need to get to. You forget about yourself. You forget about yourself. So, remember, open up yourself for training. Number 3 is number next. I can't remember whether it's number 3 or number whatever. Number 3, number next. Be a principled person. Have principles. Remember, there are 2 things that people tend to misunderstand. People often mistake their prejudices for principles. You do not prejudice people saying that it is your principle. No, you don't prejudice people. You don't prejudge people. You do not profile people. So it is important. I mean, just because you've had an experience, let me give an example with marriage. Maybe just because you've had okay, wait, admitted says number 4. Yeah, thank you. Number 4. Just because you've had an experience with a Zulu person, then you start calling all people who are Zulu the same and say, you know Mazulu, or maybe Tswana person, you know Batswana, you know Changans, you know Batsonga. No, you don't do that. You need to have principles. A principle is it's a blueprint that does not change. It's a principle that does not change, that remains true at all times. A principle is, let me give an example. No, everybody who comes late for rehearsals will not climb the stage on Sunday. That is the principle. That is the principle that you need to implement and be consistent upon. But then just because somebody sings a good soprano, or maybe somebody bought you chips the day before, but then no, it's okay, it's okay, no, but then I'll make an exception today. No, there is no exception to a principle. There is no exception to a principle. Rather, be disliked by people and stick to your principle. And people should know and respect your principle. Now, remember, Christians, we are exercising faith for favor. We are looking at Daniel here. So now I'm looking at Daniel from all the chapters. Chapter 1 up until chapter 12. I'm summarizing. I want to, when you read the book of Daniel, you need to understand everything that I'm mentioning here. Remember, Daniel was favored by at least 4 kings. King Nebuchadnezzar wanted Daniel in his workforce. King Cyrus wanted Daniel in his workforce. King Darius wanted Daniel in his workforce. King Belshazzar wanted Daniel in his workforce. So now there is no way that we're going to make exemptions, exceptional cases. No, exceptionally I'll do this. No, now the day you start putting exceptions, you are starting to be inconsistent, and inconsistently will lead to your failure. Because who will favor somebody who is inconsistent? Who will reward somebody who is inconsistent because of these exceptions? I mean, you need to understand this. You need to understand this and stick to it. Daniel is a good example, Bazalwan. Faith for favor. Faith for faith. If you want to be favored, hey, be like this guy, Daniel. Be like this guy, Daniel. I mean, one of the days I'll be coming to you and tell you what his name really means, and what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, what their real names were, so that you can be able to understand that these guys, they were fake. Did you know when Daniel was promoted and be made to be the ruler of the whole province, he said, hey, king, may I take Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with me? So now remember, when faith for favor, you do not get favor without giving favor to others. And then he took Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and made them chiefs of the provinces. So now people will want to be promoted alone. People will want to eat alone. People will want to get all the bonuses alone. No, you must be different. When you are promoted, take others with you. Take others with you when you're promoted. So it is critical. It is critical that you take other people with you. Now we're speaking about faith for favor. And some people accuse me of having favorites. Let me tell you, People that know me very well, that I don't have favorites, but then people that excel, I stand behind them 100%, support them 100%. You know, I don't even supervise unnecessarily. Why? Because I know that they are people of excellence. They can be able to manage themselves. You know, one of the fruit of the Spirit in the book of Galatians is self-control. So now, how do you promote somebody who doesn't have self-control? How do you promote somebody that you need to push all the time to do something? How do you promote somebody that you've got to actually micromanage? No, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. As you grow in life, please take people with you. And you can only take consistent people. You don't want people to go in there and then tarnish your name. Because they'll ask you, hey, how did you promote this person? How did you take this person? No, man, hey, this person is not performing. So now remember, Christians, you must be a person of principle and you must stick to your principles. Now the next one, Bazalon. Sorry, I can't see clearly here because of my lighting, so I'll try and... Yeah, look, I've got power problems in our extension in here. We've got a bent cable, so we're all in the dark. We're using artificial lighting. If you want favor, you must be a high performer. You must be a high performer. So now, if you're a high performer, Mzalon, let me tell you, you won't even have to beg for favor. Favor will come your way. Favor will come your way. And then, in case you don't know, if you are a high performer, you don't apply for jobs. Jobs apply for you. Jobs apply for you. You find yourself getting offers from left, right, and center. When you resign, the whole department goes ballistic and say, hey, so-and-so has resigned. They come with counter offers. They come with all those kind of things. Why? Because you are a high performer. They know that when you are not there, you know, there are some people named Christians. They are, yes, Daniel, you will be headhunted. They will be looking for your head. They will be looking for your head and say, no, we want this person. If you are a high performer, you don't have to look for a job. So now, let us understand these Christians' name. High performers always, you know, when you are at home, they think about the work and everything else. They think what to improve, what problem to solve. Did you know that there are some people, when they're absent from work, you don't even feel them. You don't even know that they were absent. Why? Because they are not making any impact. They are not making any impact. So now you need, when you are absent from work, people must feel it. People must feel it. That no, so-and-so is not here today. We can tell so-and-so is not here today. Why? Because you are a high performer. You are a high motivator. You are a high encourager. You are a high moral builder for, you know, you are just out of this world. You are just out of this world. I mean, such people in the New Testament, there is a guy called Barnabas. You know, Barnabas, that guy was a high performer. And very, very little is written about him. Did you know that Barnabas trained Paul? And yet, only Paul is known. And Barnabas, we know so little about him. Did you know that Barnabas financed the ministry of the apostles initially? He said, no, guys, he went and sold his land. He went and sold his land, his own personal land. He took the money, all of it, gave it to the apostles and said, apostles, here is money. He put it at their feet and say, now let the gospel go. And yet we hear nothing about Barnabas. I hear few people preach about Barnabas. I mean, when the other apostles refused Paul because they knew Paul was a killer, Paul killed people, Paul persecuted the church. When Paul came and said, no, I'm an apostle now, I've met Jesus, all the apostles were treating Paul with a pinch of salt. They did not want to embrace Paul. Barnabas says, hey guys, I've seen this man, I've seen how he has changed. Let us take a risk on him. Let me tell you, high performers take risks on other people. You take risks on other people and saying that, no, I will make them my assignment. I will make them my improvement. I will improve them all the time. Can anyone take a risk on you? Or can you take a risk on others? Just think about it. Just think about it. And then, sure. Let's go to verse 14. Verse 14 of chapter 2. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. Now, it says Daniel answered with wise counsel and wisdom. Please seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. Allow yourself to be counseled by other people. Allow yourself to be counseled. Because each time you speak, you must speak wisdom. Don't just speak for the sake of speaking. Don't speak for the sake of speaking. Speak wisdom all the time. And how do you enhance this wisdom? Through prayer, through studying, through reading of books, through listening to other people. That's how you gain wisdom. Hey, but then other people just want to go out there and start talking. Let me tell you, after speaking, people must start asking themselves and say, who is this person? Who is this person? So now it's important. It's important in Zion. People out there are brilliant. Let me tell you, people are brilliant out there. You will be so surprised. People know their stuff. All you need to do, take a risk on them. Barnabas did. Look what he made of Paul. Paul wrote 2/3 of the New Testament simply because of Barnabas took a risk. Today we know Paul. Today we know Paul. But Barnabas, we know so little about him. And as a matter of fact, it is speculated that they believed or they think that the book of Hebrews was written by Barnabas. That's what they are saying in the background. The scholars are still discussing all of those things. Maybe let us pray for God to reveal to us who wrote the book of Barnabas. I mean the book of Hebrews. Maybe Barnabas is the man. Maybe Barnabas is the man. And you go and read Hebrews, how deep it is. Hey Christians, my time is up. It's 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining me this evening. I truly appreciate. Let's meet tomorrow evening, 6:15, when we speak the word of God. Remember, Jesus is Lord. Everything for the glory of the Lord. Tonight's episode was faith for favor. Go out there, exercise faith so that favor can come your way. Good night.